At exactly 9:42 a.m. in New York, trillions of dollars move. No trucks, no vaults, no flashing lights, just a few people staring at spreadsheets that look like they were designed in 1998. If those spreadsheets are wrong, nothing explodes. No alarms go off. The world just quietly starts to choke. Most people think global finance runs on supercomputers, AI, and cutting-edge tech. It doesn't. It runs on boring files, manual checks, and numbers that only have meaning because everyone agrees not to question them. That's not a metaphor. That's the system. And right now, more money than ever depends on it. Let's start with something simple. Imagine you and I make a deal. I promise to pay you tomorrow. You promise to deliver something today. Neither of us wants to go first, so we write it down. Who owes what? When? How much? That piece of paper is trust, frozen into numbers. Now stretch that idea until it covers the entire planet. Every government bond, every stock trade, every currency swap, every currency rate bet, they all end the same way. Someone opens a spreadsheet and asks one question: who owes who right now? This matters today because the volume is exploding. Global financial markets don't move billions anymore. They move trillions every single day. In U.S. Treasury markets alone, over $600 billion change hands daily. Foreign exchange, over $7 trillion a day. And none of that money actually moves the way people imagine. It's mostly promises being updated. Rows, columns, cells. Here's the uncomfortable truth. When two massive institutions trade, the money doesn't instantly switch places. There's a delay, sometimes hours, sometimes days. During that gap, both sides are exposed, so the system does something strange. It keeps score. Banks, clearinghouses, and settlement systems track obligations using ledgers. Modern ledgers look digital, but conceptually, they're the same as paper. And yes, many of them are. Spreadsheets. Some automated, some semi-manual, some terrifyingly dependent on human intervention. This isn't ancient history. During the 2008 crisis, regulators discovered that some major institutions were managing critical exposure using Excel files maintained by a handful of people. No backups, no redundancy, no margin for error. That wasn't an accident. It was efficiency. Because spreadsheets are flexible, fast to update, easy to customize. They're also fragile. One broken formula doesn't crash the system immediately. It slowly poisons it. Here's how the machine actually works. Every day, banks trade assets with each other. Bonds, currencies, derivatives. Instead of settling each trade individually, they bundle them. At the end of the day, they net everything out. You owe me this. I owe you that. Let's cancel most of it and settle the difference. That net number is what actually matters, and it's calculated in spreadsheets. These files decide how much collateral needs to be posted, who's in deficit, who's safe, who needs cash now. Collateral is the glue. It's usually government bonds, sometimes cash, sometimes other assets, and its value is updated constantly. Small changes matter. A 1% move in bond prices can force billions in additional collateral calls, which means someone needs to find cash immediately. This is where the tension lives, because everyone assumes the spreadsheet is right. They assume the numbers are accurate, the formulas work, the data feeds are clean, until they aren't. In 2012, a trader at JP Morgan entered a flawed model into a spreadsheet tied to a massive derivatives position. The error didn't look dramatic. It shaved off risk on paper. In reality, it hid it. The result? Over $6 billion in losses. No hackers, no exotic instruments, just a spreadsheet that made the wrong thing look safe. This is the irony. The most advanced financial system ever built still relies on tools designed for accountants. Because the system grew faster than it could be redesigned, markets innovated, technology layered on top, but the core stayed familiar and fragile. Here's the part most people miss. These spreadsheets don't just track money, they create reality. If a clearinghouse spreadsheet says Bank A owes Bank B $10 billion today, that obligation is real, even if the money doesn't exist yet. If Bank A can't pay, everything freezes, not because the economy vanished, but because the numbers stopped agreeing. This is why central banks obsess over settlement. It's why the Federal Reserve runs payment systems like a utility. It's why markets panic over operational risk, a polite term for human error. Because when trust is encoded as numbers, mistakes become systemic, and the stakes are rising. Markets are faster now, leverage is higher, margins are thinner. One delay triggers collateral calls. Collateral calls trigger asset sales. Asset sales push prices down. Prices down trigger more calls. All because a spreadsheet updated correctly or incorrectly. The system doesn't care which. Now contrast that with the hype. People talk about blockchain replacing everything, AI running markets, instant settlement solving all risk. But most of global finance still clears the old way. End of day. Net positions. Manual oversight. Because speed introduces new risks. Instant settlement means no flexibility, no time to fix errors, no buffer. So the world keeps choosing boring spreadsheets over revolution. Because boring is predictable. Until it isn't. Zoom out. Governments depend on this system to fund themselves. Pensions depend on it to exist. Companies depend on it to pay salaries. If settlement fails, money doesn't disappear. It becomes unusable, like water locked behind a frozen valve. This has happened before. In March 2020, Treasury markets, the safest market on earth, nearly broke. Not from defaults. From plumbing. Dealers couldn't process trades fast enough. Collateral flows jammed. Spreadsheets lagged reality. The Federal Reserve stepped in with trillions. Not to stimulate. To keep the scorecards aligned. That's the quiet job of modern finance. Not creating wealth. Preventing disagreement. So the next time you hear about trillions moving through markets, remember this: behind the headlines, behind the algorithms, behind the confidence, someone is opening a spreadsheet, checking a number, and hoping it's right. Because if it isn't, the world doesn't crash loudly. It just stops agreeing on who owes what. And without that agreement, money still exists, but nothing works. So here's the unresolved question. As markets grow faster, larger, and more complex, how long can the global economy keep trusting a few boring spreadsheets to tell the truth?